Connect groups, hey, welcome back to our study of Mark. We're in chapter 12 and we're looking at the passage of the scribe interacting with Jesus and asking the great question of which is the greatest commandment. I'll just pause and say Pinky, one of our Connect group leaders and elders, told me that this is a good frame for my talk to you. Sometimes I get really close. That may be too close. Sometimes it may be too far away. So if you have an opinion or critique or a recommendation, we're going to invite you to share that as well. But this one's for Pinky. I'm doing my best to keep at the right angle. The rest of it, it's got to take that up with God. That's His work, not mine. What I love about this passage is that Mark's gospel brings home the essential point that our response to God through obedient action is love. And the word choice that Jesus uses is agape, the Greek word translated love. And I gave some of those specific definitions which lead us to conclude that it's an affective, it's a real, genuine, heartfelt, throbbing, passionate type of love. It's not the love that says, I love that about you. It's the love that actually loves the person for who they are. So we're moving beyond kind of this stoic, standoffish, respectful adoration or admiration, and we're saying, no, actually in the same way or similar way I would love another human being, that's the way I love my Jesus. And of course he was human. So for someone in that generation, it would not be hard to imagine loving God and loving Jesus as the same, because when the woman falls down and washes the feet of Jesus with her hair, it's hard not to think of a more loving expression to someone that she adores. And the many instances when Jesus interacts with people and we sense that they have picked up on His love for them, and they respond with warmth and community. Well, how do we feel about that? I'd love for you to talk and share how you feel and how you respond to Jesus and to His command to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. How do you love Him? Do you find it easy to be affective and feeling and emotional towards Him, or do you find that as a challenge? Secondly, we did talk about love as obedience, because that's also very scriptural. John's Gospel, chapter 14, verse 15, makes that clear. If you love me, you will keep my commands. And then we look to the very end of John, in the Gospel of John, chapter 21, Jesus interacts with Peter and asks Peter, do you love me? And then Peter says, yes, you know that I do. And Jesus gives we've got the fire alarm going off. Have no fear means one of the kids is showered and opened the door and allowed all the hot steam to flow right to the fire alarm. Fantastic. Back on track. So Jesus makes it clear to Peter that our response to that love is to act. He says, feed my lambs, tend my lambs, feed my sheep. And so very similar to much of our responses in spiritual life, such as faith, also requires action. Love requires action. Not enough to say that we love, but to act. So talk about that aspect. Secondly, what does it look like to obey Jesus as an act of love, not as an act of rule-keeping or moralism or some sort of strength of ethical value, but from here as an expression of devotion and true love. So we've got love as affective and this sense of expressing ourselves to Jesus in words of adoration and devotion and affection. And then secondly, we've got love as obedience. Going back to the affective part, one last thing to consider. One of the ways that in church life we often use our liturgy, our order of service, is to help promote affection towards Jesus through song. So many of the Psalms are really love poems, both about the love of God for us and then our love and our response to Him. think about music for a moment. Think about some of your favorite songs. I did a quick search, and I mentioned one of the songs talking about the love of God from Frederick Lehman. He's talking about the love of God is greater far than tongue or pen can ever tell. Moving up several decades, The Love of God is the title by Rich Mullins, 1989. Hillsong wrote an upbeat, up-tempo song called That's What the Love of God Can Do, 1997. And then Hillsong Young and Free, 2016, the title of the song is Real Love. Well, so much of the music is talking about God's love for us, which of course is worthy and correct to sing about. We should fix our mind on things that are excellent and worthy of praise. But how about songs that express our love to Jesus? So there's just simple choruses. I love you, Lord, I lift my voice. Some simple song like that. Perhaps one of those will come to mind, and what I want to do is challenge you, if the song is simple enough, to step out of your comfort zone or get right into your comfort zone and sing that song together. Love Jesus. Let the group have an experience of loving on Him. You can move right into prayers that express love, free praise that expresses love, but let's move into understanding the love of God for us and then responding with loving the Lord with all of our heart, all of our soul, all of our mind, and all of our strength. Have a great time and an intimate time loving on Jesus. God bless. Have a great night.